turn your coat sort of around those people and then they're out of our way?
Which one should I do?
They'll look after them for you.
No, no, excuse me. Just so I can see this. Just so I can see.
Thank you for wearing your names. It helps me just treat you like people instead of things, doesn't it? You seem to have different colours on. Is there some significance in the colours, or did you just get whatever?
Here's orange is for you. Blue is broken.
Right, right, thank you. Now, did you expect to be working in a studio?
Yeah.
Right. Is there anybody didn't? Right. Well, you better have a look round and then forget it. Did you hear what I said? Have a look round and then you can forget it. They always look so mysterious, I think, the men behind the cameras, because they've got these wires and well, they're bound to, because they're in the remote control, because they're being told what to do. Yes. And of course you've got your people watching who have a lot of work to do. So from the moment you walked in, you've been recorded, and all the behaviour in the room will be recorded, my behaviour and your behaviour, because they're trying to see the kinds of things that happen in a piece of teaching. So some people are looking at some things that we do, and other people are looking at other things that we do. The camera is seeing as much as it can, so that later on people can see that again and see if their notes and memories fit the camera's memory. You see? Did they tell you we only have a very short time? Yeah. Well, we do. We only have about 3/4 of an hour to work together, and then people will probably talk with you and with me. So we really have to get quite a long way in a short time. Do you work in drama much?
Yeah.
Some of you do? Yes. What kinds of things do you do? Drama games, you mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't play the games of the schoolyard or anything like that, it's the drama games, yes. Well, now today, we won't be doing that kind of drama. Not because there's anything wrong with that kind of drama, but because the kind of drama people wanted to see today was a bit different than that. Did they tell you my name?
No.
They did?
Can
you remember it? No. Do you want to know it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you don't need to listen, do you? My name's Dorothy Heathcote. So that if you want to address me, you know what I'm called. And I'll try and read your names if I need to say them. Now, in the drama I work in, I ask for a great deal of concentration. Because, you see, I give a lot of concentration. And I find that sometimes when people are a bit nervous, like this sort of situation, like I am now, I sort of tend to get a bit nervous, and then I sort of almost spoil what I'm doing. And this is going to be rather important. If these people have come from all over England, we have to try to keep within the work we're doing, not commenting about it so much. Do you see what I mean? And it's usually just nerves that makes you do that. I'm going to write a name on the board. It's just a word. And I'm interested in what images come into your mind about it. I don't ask you what it means. I'm sure you'll know what it means. But it's what you see in your mind when you read the word that interests you. Because that's where we're going to begin our work. As if you were in your first drama lesson in your secondary school and I was going to be the teacher you were going to work with for all the years. You know, I'm left-handed. I'm writing it fairly slowly. Watershed. Get any sort of picture? Anybody? Could you describe the picture you see in any way?
I see a house that's on water, but it's kind of standing.
Could you just draw the rough shape of the house to get the sense? A sort of shed, you're saying, are you? A shed resting on water?
Yeah, stands going into the water.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Just, you don't need to be a good drawer, just shove it in somewhere on the board. Does anybody else get any other image?
A shed on with water.
A shed with water?
Yeah.
Do you mean on it or with water in a tank or what?
A shed with water in a tank.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to draw that at that side somewhere? Now, we're not doing a drawing exercise. What we're doing is just trying to record what we think. Then you've got your house on stilts there. It'll do for my memory, that's all we need. Did somebody else over here get another one? What did you get?
Shed full of water.
A shed full of water. Sort of going to be submerged in water. Yes? Do you want to draw it or can you remember it? Okay?
A shed in water.
Sort of sunk.
Flooded.
Yes. You know, in all these different sheds you've got out of Watershed, I didn't get any one of those images in my mind. Isn't that interesting? I'll draw you what I saw. I'll use this board, shall I? Because that's a bit filled up now. The thing I was thinking of, and it's going to affect those very much because we're going to need those later on. So don't forget the one full of water and the one in the water of the watersheds. I had heard up to today, when you told me about those, that a watershed was usually when the rain fell, and it fell on there, on the mountains, it would either have to run down that side of the hill, or that side of the hill, and that's what they call the watershed. You know, the mountain sheds the water down the hill. You do know about that, don't you? Mm-hmm. Let's think of how many things we know about water. What water does.
Wet.
It's wet.
It runs.
It runs.
It's all cold.
It's
hot or cold.
It's hot or cold. It's got temperature. Yes. And it can be anything between hot and cold, can't it? Yes?
Clear in colour.
It's clear in colour. It shows the colour of whatever it's in or on, doesn't it? Shall I just put clear? Or shall I put, what do you call it? Is it transparent? I don't know if water's transparent. Shall I put transparent? It'll do for now. It's approximate. Transparent. I've always had trouble knowing what colour water was, you know.
Dilute things.
It can dilute things. Yes, it's a diluting agent, isn't it?
Fish can swim in it.
Yes, it's a life force as well, isn't it? What should we say for fish swimming in it?
Floats.
Pardon?
People float on
And people float on it, yes. I don't know what to say there. I don't know the
And
proper
people
word.
live in.
People can live in it, you
Yeah,
mean?
fish.
Yes. Well, all I can do at the moment is, you know, draw one and know that they can live in it because I can't find the words that should have. Now, you know all this about water. Any more?
Drinking it.
Yes. But it is a great need for people. And of course people say it's in the drink, don't they? They say, hey, he's gone in the drink. Yes.
Cook with it sometimes.
You
Cook with it.
can cut with water.
Cook.
Cook, I'm sorry. Yes, yes. It's, I don't know what to call it then. It's like this other thing, a fish. It sort of makes an environment, doesn't it, for vegetables if you're cooking. And it's an environment. Yes, that's what I was looking for. What a good thing you said, cook. When I thought you said cut, I thought, good heavens, yes, it's a terrible force for cutting through things, isn't it? You know how rivers cut through and make big valleys? Had you seen water that way before? What were you going to say?
Gives water supply.
It gives a water supply. Yes, it creates water for us.
Wash.
It's a cleansing agent, yes. Now, whether it actually cleans or just washes away, I don't know, but it'll do for now. Somebody else was going to say something.
You live with water.
Yeah. Do you mean we live by it? Without it, we would die?
Yeah.
Yes, it is a need. Yes, to lubricate the skin and so on, yes?
People can swim in water.
Yes, it makes an environment for fish and people. Would you help me with a drama about water? Right. The first thing we have to do then is we have to create the place in which we live. Now we could do it on the wall, on the blackboard, or we could do it on a big piece of paper so that we could each make part of the hills and valleys we know. Which do you want to do? A little one on the board where we'll be crowded, or do you want to try a big one that you can all help with together?
Big one. Big one. Big one.
A big one. Right. You spread out and we'll have a long horizon, shall we?
Yeah.
Right.
In the middle.
And when you're spread out, you tell me where to put this.
In.
Which is the middle? Down here. Do you like to take the end? Take it away. As far as you think she should go, for everybody to have a go at this.
Yeah, that's it.
There, right. Maybe that lady would put her feet on it then, or that gentleman, and then it doesn't roll back. Good. Now, in that box, there are a few pens. I'm not sure how many, because I didn't arrange it. Can you get them out? Can you bring my chair? There won't be one each. There won't be one each. Good heavens. Get yourselves round. Tell you what, let's all stand at one side of it. Which side shall we stand at? You stand at this side. Okay. Now don't worry if you haven't got a pen, because the pens aren't ours. We're borrowing them. We don't need pencils for the minute. It's pens. Put all the pens on the paper. And put all the pencils back in the box, just for a minute. Otherwise I'll clutter you up, so what we have to do. Put all the pens on the paper and come back with me. You see, you can't own them, love. You're all right. You'll get one when you need it. Now stand well back. And stand so that everybody can see the paper. I'll get out of the way. Can everybody see? If you're a bit tall and you think there's somebody behind you who can't see, I would move for them. Because it's not a race. Is everybody able to feel in touch with that paper? Well, I asked the question. Yeah. We're going to build a completely truthful horizon. You know what a horizon is? When you look as far as the eye can see, and you see the hilltops, and the valleys, and the woods, and all the things of the world, you know. And when you turn around, you can see the horizon there, and right round there, you know. Everybody's got a horizon, haven't they? Sometimes the horizon is just rooftops, isn't it? Because the houses are very near. Do you live in a place where you have a hillside horizon or rooftops horizons? Rooftops, right. Well, you can imagine behind the rooftops, can't you? All the rest of the world. Can you do that? I'm going to put in one hill and all the other hills and the rest of the horizon, and we're making a natural horizon with no buildings, because we're dealing first with watersheds, right? And of course, in a drama, everything you put in the world you make stays in. Just like the world you're born into. If it's there when you're born into it, it tends to stay around, doesn't it? Right. I'll do mine upside down, but you can do yours from that side. And we're going to quite deliberately make the most interesting horizon we can. I shall make a high valley and a steep slope, and I do not know where the hill goes next. Is there anyone else can add to this horizon? Remember, it stays and must be used. You can do it the other way if it helps you. And I will tell you what kind of a horizon he's joining up here,
What's going from that?
if you think you should. If you think the hill would go somewhere. The slope is quite steep, and it continues further down and further down, growing gentler, and it seems to be levelling. Now, you hold it there a bit and see what else we get. Is there anyone will give us any more horizon on either side? Is there anyone who would wish to continue this horizon? Come on then. Start the horizon all the way along. Anybody who wants to. Take your fair share, if you can manage, until all that we can see has a natural horizon. And we shall live there. Those will be the places we know. And one of the words you use in drama is it reasonable? Would you say it's reasonable? So we're making a reasonable horizon, you know. That could be very interesting, it's bound to be, to live near. So you'll have to find reasonable ways of joining your different endeavours. It's looking very exciting. We've got a gorge. And we've got 2 or maybe 3 or 4 calls. Ah, now we're getting duality. Yes. There are hills behind hills. Now, stand back. You know what a watershed is, don't you? It's up there, as well as all those other kinds of watersheds that are over there. Could you now add, and you know what water does? You know it runs. Do you know anything about how it can run and where it can't run?
Can run down, but not up.
Right. It can run down naturally, but it can't run up naturally unless there's some other cause. This mountain range will give us water. We people. Without water we will not live. Can you place in this mountain range all the water that can run down? Now hang on just a second. Don't gild, do you know a phrase, don't gild the lily? It means don't overdo it. For every 5 rivers you could put in, put 1 in. and then see what happens, okay? When you think water could run down there, put in a stream. And if you choose to watch them put them in rather than put them in, just keep saying, now is that a downhill slope? Would that be downhill? Could it get down there? And you maybe make your water slightly thicker than your hilltop, and then we'll know which is the water particularly. It's going to find its natural ways, and things may get in the way and make it split and so on. And of course sometimes it collects, doesn't it? So if you think there's any good collecting places around for the water to all gather in, then put those in as well. And when you don't know where else it goes, you can just leave it because it might go underground. And sometimes when you stood back a bit and you see like, oh, I've suddenly had an idea, don't be frightened to put it in because there can be no mistakes. We can find out how it does come to run downhill there. You know, if you find you put one in you don't like much. And then we'll get all our water and we're nearly ready for the drama. Do you know any words for describing mountains and such? Do you?
Mountain top.
Mountain tops, yes, that's a good one. Well, just in case you don't know any words, I wrote a few down because I'm not very good on these. Can you? There's plenty. If you see any of these that look like they could be there, just write the name down, then we've got a sort of idea of what to call these. Right, fine. Okay. Do you just use your weight, or would you like to come and get some? You know, I don't know, sometimes people are patient, you know, but sometimes they can go in and help themselves. I want to get through this, you see, so that we can get onto the drama, because we have people who understand water eventually, I think. By the time we've done all this, I'm sure we will. For example, can you see any convex slopes? You know, there's a line that shows what's a convex slope. If you think you found a convex slope, you know, mark it. Right, mark convex slope on that, and then we know. And if you find a cliff, or an estuary, or a saddle, or a gap, or a peak, you know. And have we got any meander rivers? Mark them all in, whatever you fancy, as long as they're reasonable. That's a convex slope, and it might well have some water running off it, but I'm not sure just how. Have we got any knolls in? Oh yes, there's a little knoll sort of thing, isn't there? That's a little knoll. That looks like a pass. You better mark that one, haven't you? There's pencils. Get your pencils. Well, I can see a... Have we got any meandering rivers that have wound a very strange valley? We don't have to have everything, but it gets interesting if we have more problems. Sometimes they... I never know when a mountain is a peak. You know. Just stick anything in that you think seems reasonable. Has that pass been marked? Yes. Doesn't matter if the writing's upside down, we can organise that later on. I once heard about a river that meandered with a mazy motion. And then we'll have a look at our land. Convex slope. Have we got any concave slopes or promontories? And there may be some scarp slopes or dips. Yes, we've certainly got some very high passes, haven't we? Right, okay. That's a very interesting formation. It's amazing. I mean, later on, we'll have to find out this rock that does all this. Are there any rivers on it? Any actual river valleys? Because of time, I'm going to suggest that when you finish the last thing you were doing, like the last word you were writing or the last bit of river, we'll then stand back and see what we have inherited. I can't wait to live here. Stand so that you can see it all, if you can. The gods have certainly blessed us with water. Have we any lakes of any kind, or does all the water in our land flow? Ah, we have a collecting point, and there seems to be something there. Right. Now complete that, and then move and join us so that we may see the horizon. Don't have any more for now, please. I know you can't resist it when it gets as good as this. If you can hang on, I promise. Now, can everybody see all of it? Can you all see all of it? It seems to me that the land grows softer and possibly more rolling as it grows towards the east. What do you think? And much harsher land further to the west. Do you agree that this could be east and that west, or would you rather change it in some way? Because we see now the sun will affect what grows here. And so we do need to know which will be the north slopes, the south slopes, the east slopes and the west slopes. So which shall we call east? This shall be east. Who's the nearest with a thick pen? Could you mark this east, and would somebody mark that west? Because that immediately brings in a new development, doesn't it? Let's leave the pens down on the horizon, please. Right. Now, of course, if you wouldn't mind again, just standing back, because these people can see nothing. Horizons are for standing back from. I'll stand back, you stand back. Are you ready to invent the next bit?
Yeah.
Control the paper. Now, I knew you could. It doesn't need to waffle. The names that geographers give to mountains are not the names the people call them when they look up in the morning and say, and they give the name of the mountains. So shall we now have a look along with everybody themselves, by themselves, just think. If I could call that what I'd like to call it, I'd give it that name. You know, because people don't label them with things like that. You don't say, the coal's looking very nice in the sunshine, do you? You say, old Gat Fell's looking cheerful this morning, don't you? Or do you? So let's think of the most interesting names we can give our land. Anybody like to suggest one? Were you going to give us one?
I should think of one when I was there.
Yes, you sort of thought of one. They need thinking on the breath. You have to sort of think them and then say them. Hear them in your ears. We're not printing them, we're calling them these names. We're talking about them. Do you have a good one in your mind? Right, shout it out. We'll turn away and you'll give us a name and we'll see if we can guess which mountain you're calling or which one you're calling. Pardon?
Mountaineer's Point.
Say it again.
Mountaineer's Point.
Mountain. Aries.
Mountaineer's Point.
Mountaineer's Point. Now, which does he mean? Are we right? This is Mountaineer's Point. Agreed?
Yeah.
Right. Anybody else got one? I'm going to write them quick to save time. Sing it out and let's hear it on the breath.
High Mountain.
You sort that out and then tell me which to write it on. Which one was it? And what's it called?
High Mountain.
High Mountain, right? Do the rest yourselves, get them all done. Right, High Mountain. Sometimes people use the most interesting names. Names you'd never think of in your wildest dreams. These are the names that people know of their country. Anybody can have a call, but not everybody's got what we call it. And then we'll see what names we've got. They say that naming a thing makes it special. We've got Old, is that called Old Valley? Old Valley. And Mountaineer's Point, and Skateboard Hill, and Blue Valley Mountain, and High Mountain and Low Mountain. And Mount Top, and Sun Valley, and Stump Cliff, and Ridged Peak, another skateboard mountain, is it? Right. That'll be interesting. And this is Cliff Everest. Are you borrowing that mountain from the Himalayas? Yes. May I call it Everest? So that we don't keep thinking of the Himalayas. Because it's our mountain. Are there any other interesting names to be put on there that says, this is ours, we know this, this is the names we've given? Blow Mountain. Valley Peak. Is that Roller Hill?
I should go down.
Are there any other names that you want to give to the horizon. Climber's drop. Right. I think we're about ready. Dead man's drop, yes. Devil's drop. Is that ever ready or Eva ready? It's all right. It's an interesting name, Eva ready. That's all right. Old bowl. Devil's man's drop. Dead valley.
Point, fish face. Fish feet.
Right. Let's now put the pencils out of the way and just lay the pens on the paper. And we put all these papers, just give them to the people and then they can just hold them for us out of our way. Because we've got lots to do now. We've only got 10 minutes, which is very unfortunate. So, come around me quite close so that we are people. Get rid of that, we don't need it now. We'll need it later on when we come to check on things, but we haven't time today, have we, to do it all? We have all we need, really, for drama. We have a place to dwell, and we have made a most interesting land. And the land is reasonable as far as the water supply is, so far as we've had time to know. Now we must decide at what stage of man's living on the earth we would like to enjoy this country. Now you just, when I speak, try to see a picture in your mind. I shall speak quite slowly. And I'm having to do this because I haven't much time. I would rather you could do it. Do you see men? And can you close your eyes without worrying about me? Some people can never do that. It's a matter of trusting the teacher. Now you know I'm not going to suddenly run off, shoot you, or do anything like that, don't you? Just close your eyes then. And keep them closed. Because it's important behind your eyes are the images. Do you see men on the mountain? And I say men meaning all kinds of people, men and women and children and old people. Do you see them living in this land at a time when they had only the tools to work stone, like stone axes and so on? People have lived upon this horizon who only knew stone as tools. Later, people came and they learned how to make water move upwards. They made a screw that would wind the water up, and they learned about wheels. So we could choose to live in our horizon before wheels or at the time of wheels. Later, because men developed pumps, they learned how to heat water and make steam. And so they could change the water even more. And then they learned about electricity. Now in our drama we can live in the land at any one of those points in time. And different ways of explaining our land will be given to us according to whether we only know stone axes wheels, pumps, or electricity. Now then you can open your eyes. At which time shall we enjoy the land? Can you manage to choose this one by yourself? Or would you need my help, do you think? By yourself? I'm going to sit on my chair, shall I? And you choose which it's going to be. And you give me a surprise. Eh? Yeah. And you tell me when you're ready, when you've chosen. Sometimes it helps to look at the land, because you're going to be going up and down those hills and living all over them. Right? I'll go and sit down till you tell me you're ready. And you have to choose as a group, won't you? But you've all chosen one. Yes, but you have to discuss it with the others, won't you? So if there's a big decision going on over there, don't wait to find out too late you didn't influence it. So people have learned to pull loads along, and they've learned to... Archimedes had certainly invented the screw that would screw water uphill by that time. You don't need to put the wheels on them. And we put the pens right away. Okay? Shall we move this now, right back here in front of these people, and then we've got our land. Leave the pens with it. And we can move this back out of the way, this blackboard. Shall we? Move the blackboard. Well, naturally they make their wheels out of something, but they don't have to chop all the trees. They may have had stone wheels. Pardon? Oh, we're not talking about floating wheels, are we? We're talking about wheels on the ground. Yeah, well, sometimes you might have to have wheels in the water and so on. Right, are you set? Everybody, can you see? Come round if you can't see me. Come on. If you're very tall, you can go to the back a little bit. I'm going to give you a gift. The gift is very important. I'm going to give you this gift. You know what you're doing? You're destroying the work I'm doing. sometimes happens in drama. Because I'm doing more than my talking, I'm doing my standing. And it's meaning something, you see? To me, anyway. Just putting those on one side, not because I'm forgetting them. See whether you recognize the gift when I tell you the water you have made in the hills and the valleys is part of this gift. Do you recognize it? No. It could be legs, but it isn't.
Wishbone.
It looks like a wishbone, doesn't it? One of those?
And a water stick.
Yes. It looks like a funnel. Will you try it with me? This is a very strange thing I'm asking you to do. In your mind, you take one hand there, and the other hand here, and you hold it in front of you.
Better. Angle.
It makes an angle. Who was it told me what it was?
Mine.
No. Somebody on video
Something
said.
better. It's by water.
Yes. Who was it said it first? Yes. I give you the gift of always being able to find water. No matter what happens to the surface water. Would you agree that there are such people with that gift? And that when people need a well making, they go to a water diviner. Have you heard of them? Right. I took mine from here. Could you in your mind take your gift? The gift to always find water. Have you taken it? It will not happen to you unless you take it. Let's stand in a ring. In a proper quiet ring. Watch it. Let's just stand in a ring. A proper quiet ring, a big one. Can you draw me the water stick?
Sure.
Yes, make it big. It's quite difficult to draw because the floor is rather polished. You know how they carve white horses on mountainsides? Have you heard about them? Those sort of horses? Do you think people who know they have this very special gift might carve these in special places? I can imagine myself quietly carving those somewhere, can't you?
A carpenter.
A carpenter might do it, or anybody could do it with a piece of stone or a rock, couldn't they, really? Where they think water would be. Can you now, for yourself, manage to do something about taking the water stick as if you had your own? And it isn't a thing to be taken like a cup of tea. It has to be taken into us, because we are the people that they will fetch when they need to find water. There will be much work for people who have dry valleys, who may need our help. Shall we do that? We will take the gift into ourselves. And those who do not have our gift will know that we are chosen to have this gift. And it is not a gift we can lay down. Once you have a gift, you have a gift. Would you agree with me on that? That there are some gifts people have, and no matter what happened to them, you could never take it away from them. They say some people have the gift of second sight, don't they? And you can't take it away from them. They can see things that are going to happen. Have you heard of any other such gifts? We know that water divining is such a gift. It's a mystery. Nobody understands. Are any of you water diviners? Because they say that some people, as soon as they hold the stick, the twig, they know where the water is. I'm not like that, really. I don't want it to be. Some people have a gift with animals, don't they? You feel, they've got a feeling for animals. Right, now, take your gift, and we'll just go, and we'll stand in front of that, and think where the place would be that we would have to go to celebrate this gift, and where such a thing might be carved. Shall we go up the hill? Who will lead us up the hill? Then we will follow you. Now this is where it might sound a bit silly, but you can manage, if you try, to take the gift to the mountains, to find the place you are welcome. Are all the people here? The climb does not grow shorter with the years for me, but you are young. Where shall we hold the festival this year? This is the time of the choosing. Show us, woman. Where? And tell us the name of the place, if there be a name.
Deep sea.
At the deepest part, where the waters gather. Is there a name given to it? Do you read a name there upon on the page?
Deep water and deep sea.
Deep lake and
Deep water and deep sea.
deep water. What was the second one?
Deep sea.
And deep sea. Right. Can you lead us to the deep water and the deep sea? Now this time, last time we walked round and you managed very well for a start. But this time, as we go around, let's see if we'll make that change somehow. I don't know how it happens. It happens sort of inside, where we don't just walk. We know it's special. And it might be something to do with the way the twigs are held. And it might be something to do with the way a leader moves. Shall we try? To the deep water and the deep lake. I will reach you there. Fare you well and go safely. There can be much danger. Gather them around You know it is a special time, and it is the time when we leave our ordinary daily work to come to this source. First there will be the reckoning. Has there been any water wasted in these past months? Let only truth be spoken here. Has there been water wasted that you know of? Can you tell us of it? Was it a child? Did you teach your child about the need not to break vessels? Has there been any other water wasted that you know of? Do you think people like this who could find water would worry about wastage of water? Do you think it's reasonable? You think it's reasonable? You think it isn't? What do you think? You think we would think water shouldn't be wasted? Some of you are thinking we have enough, aren't you? Yes. There's enough on our earth. There's enough here. Do you think there's enough on the real earth that we live on? Which earth were you meaning? This one? Or were you meaning the ordinary earth? Yes. Yes. Well, let's agree on the water rules that we live by, shall we? Tell me one of the rules that we know about water. My mother has told me that a clay vessel keeps it best to be cool in the morning. What has your mother told you of this water? That water feeds animals, is that what you mean? That water that makes beasts strong, that beasts cannot live without it. And my mother has also told me that where there is good water, you may be in danger from beasts if you are alone in some of these places, because water brings them. Your mother has told you that we need water. Did she say why? To be alive. Are there any other rules to remember this time about water? That let not anyone think it is a natural environment for them unless they swim. People can die in the water. I know you said people can drown in it, and what I'm trying to do is make it sound like a rule, you know, not just a fact, but a rule. Are there any others that we ought to remember? That a clay vessel is best, that people may die of it, people may live of it, animals are drawn to it, and sometimes strange elements may enter it and make it impure. Are there any other rules that we should know?
What kind is it?
Never to play near it. Like canals or rivers. Yes?
You can wash things in it.
It is a cleaning thing. And it is a place to go to be cleaned.
Just careful when you've got hot water.
And if water is hot, it can damage us. Right. Now, I am unfortunately going to have to stop. because it's 3:15 and we were supposed to stop at 3. Now, this part of the work is for the moment finished. We're just in the beginning of trying something. Now, there's another part of the work for you, of course, and that is talking to the teachers who would like to know, how it felt to be in this work, what we've been doing. Okay? So I shall have to say goodbye to you for the moment. Well, indeed, I think I may not see you again, because whilst you're doing your part of the work, I have to do something else. Can I thank you very much for coming along on a Saturday, on a nice sunny Saturday, and spending your time under the hot lights. It is hot, isn't it? I thought you were feeling good. Anyway, thank you ever so much. Now, where do we go? Do I leave and they stay here, or do they leave and I stay here? I just have to find out, you see, because I don't want to send you out if it's me that has to.
If you'd like to go out,
I go out, right.
If we could
Leave
say
you
thanks
with
very
your
much.
mountains.
Or,
Thank you very much.